For those of you who are not aware, there are currently 6 Israeli flags, but only 1 American flag being flown at the center of Pure Village. I find this incredibly un-American. According to OpenSecrets.org, federal campaign records show that your brother, Congressman Frank Pallone, has received over $247,000 from pro-Israel political committees. That raises legitimate concerns. Thank you. That raises legitimate concerns about where your loyalty truly lies. Your allegiance is to a foreign nation and not to America. You'd rather align yourselves with Jared Kushner, who is an Israeli war criminal largely responsible for the genocide in Palestine. To learn who rules over you, simply find out who you are not allowed to criticize. And that's what Jared Kushner is. He's a foreign entity. He is not a real American. He has no loyalty to this city, and he has no loyalty to this nation. He is a globalist. He is a Zionist Jew who only has allegiance to one thing, the state of Israel. Which means this council and this Shabbos Goy of a mayor has taken zero action to have flags removed. It is an abomination to fly that flag here in America. We are Goyim, and we must put aside our petty differences and unite against our common enemy before it's too late. And I want to thank all of you, most importantly, for putting America first. Thank you. America first!
Ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, not just the words that were spoken, but the response from the people in that room is going to scare the hell out of all the right people, because noticing is no longer fringe. Noticing is no longer extreme. Noticing is no longer controversial. That's a conversation that's being had everywhere, at city council meetings and online, not by a small minority or a sliver of the American population. Those aren't ideas that are being exchanged solely in some faraway dark corner of the X algorithm hidden away from the eyes of the American people. Noticing is no longer considered racist or anti-Semitic. Noticing is mainstream. That's a conversation that's happening at your mom's wine tasting club. That's a conversation that's happening in your softball league. That's a conversation that's happening with your family, with your friends, with your acquaintances, inside of the walls of your church, and everywhere else that you go. Entire political campaigns are being run on a platform that's anti-Zionist, and those candidates are surging in their popularity because the American people have had it. And what you just saw there is not extreme or racist or anti-Semitic. What you just saw there from Jeff George, who you can find on Instagram at Jersey Goy, is 100% USDA choice American patriotism. We're not going to take it anymore. And when I saw that video on Instagram, I had to have Jeff George on. He's busy today. He's in New York. He's out and about. But he agreed to join us earlier today. We sat down for a conversation, and live from New York, here's part of what Jeff George said.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on today, Stu. Yeah, I am live from Washington Square Park, so it's a little noisy out here. But, you know, I've been a truther for over a decade and anti-Zionist activist. And it's just since October 7th, 2023, they've been really flying the Israeli flags in our faces. And people think I'm just fighting a bunch of flags. It's bigger than flags. Those flags are a symbol of foreign occupation of our country. That is a symbol of Israeli occupation. I think back to, like, you know, when the Nazis, you know, took over France, what did they do? They flew their flags, you know, because it's a symbol of occupation. So, you know, those flags are just a microcosm of what's really going on in our country right now. And that property where they fly those flags, it's currently owned by Jared Kushner. And, you know, despite the fact that he's from New Jersey, he's an American, he's the son-in-law of the president, he still seems to care more about Israel than he does America. I'm from Long Branch, born and raised. I like to go down there and walk the promenade all the time. And when you're walking down the boardwalk, it's impossible to notice that when you get to the center, the town square of Long Branch, which is known as Pier Village, it is currently owned by Kushner Properties. It's impossible not to notice that there are 7 flagpoles, and 6 of them have Israeli flags, and only the one in the middle has the American flag. It just leaves an uneasy feeling in the pit of your stomach.
When you talk to people about this, what's the response that you get?
Yeah,
general public, like the people that you're surrounded by now, are they looking at you like you're a crazy person?
I don't think they are. I think I am being recognized by a few people as we speak, but you know, I think 95% of people, nearly all Gentiles, agree with me and support me and leave me positive comments, and they're noticing the same thing. When they go to Long Branch, they see those Israeli flags, and the city of Long Branch, from my understanding, they've been receiving hundreds of phone calls every single day of people complaining about those flags, and they tell everybody the same thing, that it's private property and it's owned by Jared Kushner and he can fly whatever flags he wants. You know, Israel's basically the only power capable of such an assassination of JFK and Charlie Kirk. And of course they create their patsies, right? So during JFK, it was Lee Harvey Oswald, who they said had ties to communist Russia and to Cuba. So at the time of the Kennedy assassination, communism was the boogeyman. Today, Trump's biggest enemy is the far left. So they pinned this on Tyler James Robinson. They said he was the lone gunman, and that he was an extreme leftist liberal, who's dating a trans woman, and they were so quick to identify him as the lone shooter, and so quick to identify him as an extreme leftist that it went perfectly with the Trump administration's agenda of radicalizing the far left.
What is the opposition that you get? What do people say to you when they're not on your side? And these are like Christian Americans, the Judeo-Christian values that so many people fly in my face.
Well, honestly, I get very little pushback from other Christians. All the pushback comes from Zionist Jews in the Monmouth County area. They're very united. They're very tribal, is the word I use. And they all defend each other, regardless of how powerful they are. I try to explain to the people in the general public of Long Branch who call me anti-Semitic, they call me hateful, right? They call me a racist. It's like, listen, I'm not talking about you, the Joe Schmo Jewish guy from Long Branch, New Jersey, from Deal, New Jersey. I'm talking about the ruling Zionist elite, the people at the very top, the Rothschilds, the central bankers who are really calling all the shots and committing all the atrocities. That's who I'm talking about. And yet the people at the bottom, just your everyday, Jew, they get offended by it because they have this, this like irrational sense of tribalism, and they take everything that you say about the ruling Zionist elite, they take it personally, and it honestly makes no sense. And I'm trying to wake them up to the fact that even though they're Jewish, the ruling Zionist elite, the Rothschilds, they don't care about them either. They will happily sacrifice the everyday Jew to advance the greater Zionist agenda.
We're just running around willy-nilly, seizing control of Cuba and Venezuela, and we've heard about Colombia and Mexico. We've heard about Canada. We've heard about Greenland. So you'll have this huge technate that will be subservient to the superstate of Greater Israel. Do you see Iran ultimately falling? Do you see Iran capitulating, negotiating, lying down, surrendering?
I really don't know. Iran's really proven themselves. They've shown themselves to be really powerful. And honestly, I believe they're winning this war at the moment. But I do think Iran eventually is going to have to fall for the Zionist plan to come to fruition. And call me a pessimist. I think it's too late. I think, what they have planned is going to happen, and there's really no stopping it.
When you talk to these, city council members and their presidents and the mayors, you were talking about how corrupt and compromised they are. Tell us more about that. Who is the city council there? Who are these people, and why do you think they're compromised?
Yeah, the city council in Long Branch, there's 7 members of the council, plus the mayor, plus the city attorney, and all 9 are Democrats. They all vote in lockstep with each other, so there's no opposition on any bill. Right, it's always unanimous vote. There's no pushback from anybody. And they represent the Kushner interests. That's why I accuse them of being bought and paid for, by Zionist interests. The mayor of Long Branch is John Pallone, who is the brother of New Jersey Congressman Frank Pallone. Now, it's easier to find campaign records for Frank Pallone. He's accepted over $250,000 from AIPAC and from other pro-Israel political action committees. So John Pallone, the lesser of the two brothers, he doesn't do anything that goes against his brother Frank, and his brother Frank is a Zionist puppet.
So you don't think that this is something that can be defeated? You're pretty sure that this is all done, that this is...
I think we win in the end.
Final stages of America.
I think we do win in the end, but there's going to be a lot of war and a lot of change before that happens.
The data centers, they're a big part of this, aren't they?
Yeah, and you know, listen, I use ChatGPT all the time. It's a tool. I don't believe that they're building these data centers because I'm making memes with ChatGPT once in a while, right? That's not what they're about. It has nothing to do with the common man's everyday use of ChatGPT. It has to do with Palantir and setting up the Israeli surveillance state, which is already here, but it's getting even stronger by the day. And pretty much the system of control that's coming, all the surveillance, even in your vehicles. That's one of the reasons why they're going to kill the oil industry when the dollar collapses and the petrodollar collapses, and they're going to move to electric cars because it's just another system of control and another system of automation. I think there's been a lot of awakening since October 7th, and just people like seeing those Israeli flags in my hometown being flown at a 6-to-1 ratio. That does a lot to wake people up because it just doesn't look right. You look up and you're like, well, what country am I in? So I do think that has a lot to do with it. I think the censorship from the Zionists on social media also has a lot to do with it. People see that if you post about Israel, if you say something bad about Jews, that your post will be deleted, your accounts will be suspended. In my case, my previous Instagram account was outright deleted by Meta, and they deleted my Facebook as well. My new Instagram at Jersey Goy, that's only 3 weeks old because I did too much noticing on Meta platform, so they just straight up deleted me. And the more censorship there is, the more people notice. It's kind of counterproductive. It's backfiring on them.
All right, so Jersey Goy is the Instagram handle. That's at Jersey Goy, Goy. Jeff George is his name. He's live in New York. Thank you so much for coming, man. I really applaud you. And I think that this is something that we need to see happening all over the place. When you have these Congress people, when you have these city council members and these mayors, elected sheriffs, police chiefs, representatives of the Zionist state of Israel, representatives of the Noahide installation in this country, they should be able to go nowhere without being berated and shouted down and called out and pointed at and accosted and made to be uncomfortable. When they're in a store, they should be forced to leave the store without the shit that they were shopping for. You know, when they're at a restaurant trying to peacefully dine, well, they're, by the way, in some back room, despite being shouted down by an entire community about data centers, but yet still, because of the shekels, they ram that through. They shouldn't be able to go out and sit next to you in a restaurant and dine in peace while they're planning the construction of the future prisons of your children, while they're working in lockstep with the people who are going to implement conscription processes and a draft to have your children going and fighting against the Iranians in a war that they're fighting for their national survival against the Epstein class, a war that we should be waging as a morally upright white Christian country, which we just haven't done because of this occupation status. Why do these people think, and I know that you got to get going here, so do we, why do you think it is that these people think that they have some sort of immunity, that they're not going to be affected by any of this?
Yeah, I think it's just, I'm really not sure. These elected officials, they represent the interests of the billionaires and the special interest groups, the developers like Jared Kushner. They do whatever they're told by those people, the developers and the billionaires, and they don't actually represent the viewpoints of the people anymore. And they don't seem to care. And so many people are just too complacent, right? They're too pacified. So they're not pushing back on their elected officials. They're not making their lives a living hell when they see their elected officials at restaurants and at the supermarket, like you said. I think public shame does a lot. I think these people, these councilmen, the mayor, they hate pushback. They hate pressure from the public. So the more we can apply on them, the better off we're going to be.
Do you have a crowd gathered there?
Not really. It's just people enjoying Washington Square Park. It's an interesting place. There's a lot of interesting people, a lot of hair colors, a lot of facial tattoos and piercings. It's pretty interesting.
Anybody stop on the other side of your camera there to listen to what you
Yeah.
were saying along the way?
Yeah. There's a few people behind the camera right now watching.
Are you getting any thumbs ups? Are they nodding along, or are they
I did get a few. I don't think people know who I am or what I'm doing right now, but I think this was a pretty cool place to come live for you.
Yeah, but the things that you're saying should resonate with them.
I
And
know,
they should
yeah.
ring true. And when they leave there, whether they think that you're off your rocker or not, I guarantee you they'll look into this. And then
Dude,
they
it's
will
just-
become noticers. And that's
That's
how
all
this
it
all
takes.
happens. It is.
Yep. You just plant the seeds of truth. That's what I was doing at these council meetings. I know I'm speaking and it's falling on deaf ears. It's not really about trying to convince the council or convince the mayor. I'm using the council meeting as a platform to give speeches for my social media. But I understand that it's falling on deaf ears when I'm speaking to these people.
Yeah, but the people that are in the seats and the people that are following you, and now the viewers of this program on the BEK News Network in 5 different
Right.
states, on cable television, on Sirius XM radio, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, on Rumble, on X. Now they all know about Jersey Goy, and then they will be
Exactly.
following you. So that's what that's really all about.
It's all about planting those little seeds of truth. Once they hear the truth, they could try to ignore it, but they can't unhear what they heard. So maybe they won't wake up today, maybe they won't wake up tomorrow, but eventually something might, trigger them, and those seeds of truth that I've already planted will grow into something bigger. And that's how you wake people up, just by dropping little seeds.
I notice you're wearing the cross.
Yeah.
God bless you, Jeff George. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks, dude. I had a blast.
All right, man. We'll do it again sometime real soon. All right. So I hope that inspires you actually to be active in your communities. I hope that inspires you to go to your city council meetings and to dress down these mayors, dress down these city council people, the school boards. You've got a town hall meeting with your representative, your congressional representative, your state house, the legislators in your state, the representatives of you in this federal government. These people work for you. While they're excusing you away from the meeting and while they're threatening to have law enforcement come in and say, well, we're going to remove you. No. We are going to remove you. You work for us. We're going to remove you. And that should be the attitude. Roll your shoulders back. Hold your head up high. Grab a hold of your nuts. Have some testicular fortitude. The Jeff George model. That needs to be the model of the future. Go follow him on Instagram and everywhere else that you can find him at Jersey Goy. More of the Stu Peters Show continues next.